Hey, it's Monday again. That means it's time for another Mentoring Monday. Um, we talked last week, and really, this whole scenario is over uh, discipleship, and we talked about how that discipleship really is just calling and saying, "Come follow." You know, I remember as a kid we used to play uh, the game, follow the leader. Where you had to do whatever the leader did, and you followed them around the schoolyard. And if they jumped up on the swings, you had to jump up on the swings. And if they, swung through the monkey bars, you had to swing through the monkey bars. And if you didn't, you were out. You weren't able to follow. you know, and in our churches today, we've made discipleship really super easy. You know, literally just show up every once in a while, maybe, drop $20 in the offering plate, and you're a disciple. You're a follower of Christ. But Jesus himself had something very, very interesting to say about that. And he did not agree. He said, if you want to be my disciple, there's a cost that you're going to have to pay. And so we have to really take a look at what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. And when we say that you are a disciple of Jesus Christ, and remember, like we said last week, Paul said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." Paul understood the cost, and he was inviting those he wrote to follow him as he obeyed and he did what Christ called him to do. So, you know, and we really have to understand that there is a price that has to be paid. Jesus said to the one man, he came and he said, "Lord, I want to follow you, but first let me bury my mother and father." And Jesus said, "No, if you want to follow me, you need to follow me. Let the dead bury the dead." Another man said, "Lord, I want to follow you, but first let me, go say goodbye to family and friends. Let me, take care of all of this business." And again, Jesus said, "No, if you want to follow me, you need to leave what you want to do and just follow." And in another place, he says, "If you really want to follow me, you have to take up your cross and follow me." There's a price that has to be paid. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, in his book, The Cost of Discipleship, says, when Christ calls a man, he bids him to come and die. You think, wow, really? You're talking about discipleship, and yet you're talking about dying? That's not what I signed up for. That's not what I'm interested in. Well, I understand that. But at the same time, again, Jesus says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? But the man who loses his soul for my sake shall find it. There is a cost, but there is a remuneration. There is something that is given back when we pay the cost for discipleship. And again, we're going to try to keep this real short. We're only going to talk about maybe 15 minutes. But I wanted to bring out the cost. There is a cost to discipleship. There is a commitment that has to be made. There is a dedication. And if you listen to Sunday's sermon, you heard me talk about dedication. Being committed to what God has called you to do and saying, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to stay with it. I'm not going to get up and quit. I have to keep going. Because again, in that old game that we used to play as children, follow the leader. Do children even still play that? I guess they do, maybe. If you quit, you're also out of the game. It's not just enough to do what the leader is doing and fail, but if you quit, you're also done. If you say, I'm not going to follow, I'm not going to go, then guess what? You're not a disciple. You're not a follower. You're not going to win. You're not going to complete the game. I think about, we talked again about the fact that Jesus, as he walked along the shore of Galilee, and he began to call. He didn't call just Peter. He didn't call just John. He didn't call just James. He didn't call just Andrew and all these others. His call went out to everybody. He called to all of them as he walked past. He said, "Hey, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." But it was only those who were willing to get up and leave their nets. See, again, we're going back to this cost of discipleship, right? The cost of following means you have to leave something. You're going to have to give up something. It may be a comfort level. It may be a past mindset. It may be, any number of things. But if you're going to follow, you have to be willing to give that up. You have to be willing to walk away from it and say, it's more important to me to follow after Christ. It's more important for me to follow in the footsteps than it is for me to sit here in my comfort zone, to sit here in what I'm familiar with or what I've always believed or whatever the case may be. Now, of course, we're talking about following Christ, but we're also talking about following and being discipled within the church, specifically within Grace Living Fellowship. And, we do have, as a part of our organization, we do have requirements that say, before you can become a member of the church, you have to meet certain requirements. You have to do these things. And I haven't really pushed membership. I haven't really said anything about it because, right now, we need disciples. We need people who are willing to follow, people who are willing to answer the call and pay the price. And you say, well, what is the price, Pastor? What is the price that we have to pay to follow you? What is the price that we have to pay to be a part of what, is going on at GLF, at Grace Living Fellowship? Well, I'm glad you asked. There has to be a commitment made, just like the disciples who followed Christ said, we're leaving our nets. We're literally getting up from this that we have always had, and we are following Christ. They made a commitment. People saw them get up and leave. People saw them follow after this rabbi from Nazareth. They witnessed that. So if you're going to be a disciple, or if you're going to be a follower of Grace Living Fellowship, we're asking that you make a commitment, that you say, hey, I'm committed to this. It's not just I'm going to tune in every once in a while to YouTube or Facebook. I'm going to like their Facebook page, but I'm never going to read any of the posts. I'm never going to, if the disciples hadn't sat and listened to Jesus' teachings, could they really be disciples? Can any disciple not be willing to listen to the teachings of the teacher and still be considered a disciple? That's not how it usually works. Usually discipleship means that you listen and you partake and you are a part of whatever is being taught, whatever is going on. And that's the other thing too, is not only do we ask for a commitment that says, hey, we're going to be involved, we're going to be actively pursuing this, but it also says we're going to be instructed. We're going to be a part of what is being taught, and we're going to be changed by what we're being taught. Now, even as I say that, it sounds almost like, a Messiah complex. That's not what I have. Like Paul, I'm just simply saying, follow me as I follow Christ. Christ is still the leader. He's still the one that is, going through the swing sets and swinging through the monkey bars. I just happen to be the guy who's following him, doing my best to stay up and go through the swing sets and, swing through the monkey bars. And I want you to follow me as I'm doing what he's doing. But I want you to be committed to it. I want you to actually follow. If you quit, if you give up, if you sit down on the park bench and you say, I'm not playing this game, well, then you're not a disciple, at least not a disciple through GLF. You can be a disciple somewhere else, and I'm not saying you can't. You belong to another church. You can continue to be a disciple in that church, but you're not a disciple here. And that's important. What we're calling for is disciples. We're not just calling for people to just, click on, we're not calling for views. We're not calling for likes. We're not calling for shares. What we are calling for is people who are committed. Now, people who are committed are going to like, they're going to comment, they're going to share. But that's not necessarily the main drive. That's not what we're looking for. If we were just looking for people to like, share, and comment on what we post on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitter or on Instagram, I could pay somebody to do that. We could say, hey, we'll pay you $20 a month to just literally go through and just click like on everything and share, comment, share, like, share, comment, share, like, share, comment, share. $20 a month. That would grow our online presence incredibly. But that's not what we're wanting to do. We're not trying to build an online presence. We're trying to build a church. We're trying to build a community. So before we can go any further in this making of disciples, first we need people who will answer the call and say, yes, we're willing to follow, but people who are also willing to pay the price. To say, I'm committed. I'm committed to the work that God is wanting to do in GLF and committed to the work that God is doing in my life through Pastor Petty, through GLF, as I follow Christ. Now, you say, I'm not sure if I'm ready to make that level of commitment. I understand that. But these are the words of Jesus. Jesus says, if you put your hand to the plow and you turn around and you look back, he says, you're not worthy of me. Those are Jesus, not mine. Those are Jesus' words. Jesus said, if you put your hand to the plow and you're not committed to plowing, and you turn around and you look back, then you're not worthy. And I'm just having to say what he said. I would much rather you not commit and say, hey, I'm not willing to commit. I'm not willing to even put my hand to the plow, than to have you put your hand to the plow and say, hey, I'm ready, Pastor, you can depend on me. I'm here. I'm dedicated. I'm committed. I'm a follower. I'm a disciple. And then find out later that, you were looking behind and you weren't really following. You weren't really moving forward. You weren't really doing the follow me as I follow Christ. So, that's a little bit of a downer. You think, oh man, that's kind of harsh. Well, yeah, it is. Long time ago, we used to have a thing called church discipline, where people who became members of a church submitted to church discipline, who said, I submit myself to the discipline of the pastor and to the discipline of the church leadership. If I mess up, if I do something that's not right, if I step out of line spiritually, if I fail to attend or fail to give on a regular basis, like I say I would do in my membership agreement, a lot of churches don't do that anymore. Because again, it seems like they're really more focused on just getting people to like, share, and comment. People to attend. They're looking for attendees, but they're not looking for disciples. Now, we want attendees too. Don't get me wrong. We're not pushing you away. If you want to be an attendee, if you want to be somebody who just wants to check in every once in a while and see what's going on at Grace Living Fellowship, watch a video, listen to a podcast, whatever the case may be, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you can't do that. But what I am going to tell you is that if that's all you're doing, you're not a disciple, because you haven't made the commitment, you haven't made the price, you haven't paid it to be a disciple. And we're looking for, in this series, this Monday mentoring series, we're looking for disciples. We're looking for people who are going to say, I'm going to be here every Monday. I'm going to listen to the podcast, and I'm going to learn and grow and develop under Pastor Wendon and through Grace Living Fellowship. I really do hope that's you. It was heartbreaking when Jesus told the rich young ruler, go and sell all that you have, give it to the poor, then come follow me. He walked away. He said, I can't do that. I'm not willing to pay that price. And I think it broke Jesus' heart too. Jesus said, if you can't do it, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is to pay the price, to commit yourself to doing what God's called you to do. We're just calling. Right now, we're just calling. Come follow. Come follow. If you're willing to come follow, if you're willing to pay that price, if you're willing to make that commitment, we want you to let us know. Send us a private message, send us an email, send us a direct message, however you need to get in touch with us. You can do that, like I said, you can do that through private messages on Facebook, on our Facebook page at Grace Living Online. You can do that through our Twitter account, which is at Grace Living FEL1. You can contact us through Twitter. You can contact us through Instagram. Our Instagram is also at Grace Living Online. You can do it here through YouTube. Just comment below the video. Just say, hey, we want to, I want to make a commitment. We do check. We do check for comments. So that's all we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who's willing to say, I'm ready to commit. I'm ready to be a part. As we grow, as we change, as we develop in our discipleship, then we become available to do what needs to be done, which is the ministry. And there is ministry that needs to be done. And we're looking for people, especially local people, but we can use people from around the internet. There's ministry online that we need to have done. We need online missionaries. We need people who are really good at making content, content creators for all of our programs, for all of our platforms. We need help with our website. We have a wonderful website team, but our website team, they're a little swamped. They need help. We have all kinds of things that are going on. We need fundraisers. We need people who can really help us with fundraisers. But before you can become those things, you have to be a disciple, and you have to be willing to make that commitment and make that price. And I've gone a little over my 15 minutes. I do apologize for that, but I want you to know, hey, don't let this be a negative thing for you. Let this be an encouragement to you that you want to be called and you want to be committed to being a follower of Christ, even as we here at Grace Living Fellowship are followers of Christ. We follow Christ. We walk in his shadow. We want you to follow us and follow right beside us and right behind us as we follow our leader, which is Jesus Christ. Know that we love you. We're praying for you. God loves you. And we will talk to you again soon.